Good morning and welcome you all to this next video lesson of the chapter Nationalism in India. In previous videos, you already have read about non-cooperation movement and civil disobedience movement. Our topic in this video is the limitation of civil disobedience movement. In this video, we will discuss about limitation or demerits of civil disobedience movement. So till now you already know that civil disobedience movement was inaugurated by Mahatma Gandhi by breaking the salt law. Apart from breaking the salt law, tribal refused to obey the forest law, villager refused to pay chaukidari tax, peasant refused to pay land tax. So certain exploitative rules were disobeyed, devoid during this civil disobedience movement. Also, one basic difference between non-cooperation movement and civil disobedience movement was that when non-cooperation movement was launched, there were unity among the country, especially due to Khilafat issue. When Mahatma Gandhi decided to launch non-cooperation movement together with Khilafat movement, so it was helpful to bring both the community together for the movement. Certain historians believe that if the movement would have been continued during that time, so might be our freedom struggle would have shortened. But unfortunately, due to the violent incident of Chauri Chaura incident, non-cooperation movement was called up by Mahatma Gandhi. But civil disobedience movement was called off in the first phase. After that, it also was relaunched in the second phase. But when civil disobedience movement was relaunched in the second phase, it got premature death. That means civil disobedience movement gradually fade away. So there would have been certain limitations, certain demerits of civil disobedience movement. What were these demerits of civil disobedience movement that we are going to discuss in this video. Now, one most prominent demerits of civil disobedience movement, we came to know that there were situations of distrust and suspicion among different communities when civil disobedience movement was launched. Not all social groups participated vehemently in the civil disobedience movement. Not all social groups were moved away by the abstract concept of Swaraj. So let's discuss about first group. It is Dalits or untouchables. It was a time when Bhim Rao Ambedkar were maturing as leader of the Dalits. Support among the Dalits towards Bhim Rao Ambedkar were gradually increasing, and undoubtedly as Mahatma Gandhi was national leader, but Bhim Rao Ambedkar also were most popular leader during that time among the untouchables, among the Dalits. But unfortunate was that at that time there were confrontation between Gandhi and Ambedkar. So let's see, it was individual confrontation between Gandhi and Ambedkar. Also, Ambedkar had formed Depressed Class Association. That means organization of untouchables or Dalits. And confrontation also was there at group level between Depressed Class Association and Indian National Congress. Indian National Congress was blamed during that time that it was dominated by Brahmins, and that was one of the reasons you already read that Justice Party was formed in Madras. That Justice Party was formed to contest the council election, but actually this Justice Party was formed by non-Brahmins to counter Congress. It was a non-Brahmins political party that was formed in Madras. So this confrontation between Gandhi and Ambedkar also was one of the reason why the Dalits did not participated vehemently in the civil disobedience movement when it was launched. Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar, who organized Dalits into the Depressed Class Association in 1930, clashed with Mahatma Gandhi in the second round table conference by demanding separate electorate for the Dalits. Now, generally you confuse about the dates, to keep in your mind. The first round table conference was called by Irwin November 1930 to January 1931. In the same year, second round table conference also occurred from September 1931 to December 1931. And third round table conference, not very relevant, because even in England, one of the major opposition party, Labour Party, did not support this third round table conference, and Indian leader also, Indian political party also refused to participate in third round table conference. In the first round table conference, although Congress did not participate in the first round table conference, but Bhimrao Ambedkar from Depressed Class Association was in the Indian delegates. In the first round table conference itself, in the speech, Bhimrao Ambedkar had raised the demand for certain political rights for the Dalits, for the untouchables. And also in the same year, in the second round table conference, after Gandhi-Irwin Pact, when Gandhi agreed to participate in the second round table conference, although before going to conference he already had said, I don't think that any compromise will be done in this round table conference, because we will not accept anything less than total independence. And a clear confrontation arises between Ambedkar and Gandhi. In the second round table conference, Ambedkar vehemently raised demand for separate electorate and reserve constituency for the untouchables. In the second round table conference, Bhimrao Ambedkar raised their demand for separate electorate and reserve constituency. For whom? For untouchables. So when Ambedkar raised this demand, during that time the Prime Minister of England, Ramsay MacDonald, hurriedly agreed to accept the demand of Ambedkar, considered the demand of Ambedkar, and the provision that was made was infamously known as Communal Award in India. Communal Award was to grant separate electorate in British India for the forward caste, lower caste, Muslims, Buddhist, Sikh, Indian Christian, Indian Europeans and untouchables. So actually this demand of Ambedkar was very much in favor of the British, because they know it very well that their policy of divide and rule will get upthrust, will get boost if such thing will happen. Because till now religious differences was being utilized by the British. Now differences on the basis of caste among the Hindus also could be utilized as their divide and rule policy. So it was also known as MacDonald Award, or infamously known as Communal Award. So Gandhiji, in the second round table conference, vehemently opposed this demand of Ambedkar and returned to India. So Ambedkar blamed that Gandhi was ready to award separate electorate to Muslims, Sikhs, but Gandhi was reluctant to give separate electorate to scheduled caste. Scheduled caste, that means suppressed or depressed class. Depressed class after independence in the constitution were known as scheduled caste. So Mahatma Gandhi returned from second round table conference and vehemently opposed the demand of Bhimrao Ambedkar. So when Mahatma Gandhi returned to India, so after that almost all the important Congress leaders were arrested, including Mahatma Gandhi, and he was kept in the Yerwada jail. For long the Congress had ignored the Dalit for fear of offending the Sanatanis, the conservative high caste Hindus. And as I told you earlier, that Congress was blamed that this party was dominated by Brahmins. So two fraction was there in the Congress. Some eminent leader of the Congress believe or advocate that untouchables should not be given preferences in the Congress, and their ideology was against them. Actually during that time we know that untouchability was practice at its zenith, मतलब untouchability बहुत extreme हद तक practice किया जाता था उस वक्त. तो कांग्रेस में भी कुछ लीडर थे जो दे सपोर्ट, मतलब अनटचेबिलिटी जो प्रैक्टिस किया जाता था उसके वो सपोर्ट में थे, इवन विद इन द कांग्रेस, एंड सम ऑफ द एमिनेंट लीडर ऑफ द कांग्रेस आल्सो ड्यूरिंग दैट टाइम. But the thought of Gandhiji was different. Gandhiji declared that Swaraj would not come for 100 years if untouchability was not eliminated. So actually you could see that confrontation was there among the congressmen also over this matter, whether privileges or whether attention should be given to untouchables in the party or not. Somebody advocate that no, they also should be given equal preferences, and somebody vehemently opposed that within the Congress also. So during that time, Mahatma Gandhi when returned from second roundtable conference, and before that also Mahatma Gandhi called untouchable Harijan. So actually it was when Ambedkar were becoming prominent leader among the untouchables, then Gandhiji also tried to allure, tried to come in the good book of untouchables, and during that time he had done something for the upliftment of untouchables. So one important question is there, what actions were, effort were done by Mahatma Gandhi to uplift the condition of untouchables. So Mahatma Gandhi organized satyagraha to secure them entry into temple and access to public well, tanks, roads, schools. So it was not allowed, public places were not allowed to untouchables during that time. So Mahatma Gandhi organized satyagraha to secure them entry into temples and access to public wells, tanks, roads and schools. Actually it was, these were the activities when non-cooperation movement was called off. So after that Mahatma Gandhi devoted, there was a period of political stagnation during that time. You know, 1922 non-cooperation movement was called off in 1922, and after that there were a period of political stagnation. So during that period Mahatma Gandhi worked for the upliftment of depressed class of the society. He himself cleaned toilet to dignify the work of the Bhangi. Bhangi means the sweeper. And he persuaded upper caste to change their heart to give up the scene of untouchability. So during that time effort was being done by Mahatma Gandhi also started publishing a newspaper, Harijan, magazine Harijan. Now Dalit participation, that's why due to this confrontation Dalit participation in the civil disobedience movement was therefore limited. So let's see in the answer, first point you will mention what were the, we are reading what were the limitation of civil disobedience movement. In the answer, the first point you will mention that when civil disobedience movement was launched, there were a situation of distrust and suspicion among different communities. After that you will mention this point, ki Dalit participation in the civil disobedience movement was therefore limited due to confrontation between Gandhi and Ambedkar, as well as confrontation between depressed class association and Congress. So therefore limited, particularly where their organization were strong, especially in the Maharashtra and especially in part of Nagpur region. Now we talk about Bhimrao Ambedkar raised in the second roundtable conference, Bhimrao Ambedkar raised demand of separate electorate and reserve constituencies. Then you should know what is this separate electorate and reserve constituencies. Separate electorate are usually demanded by minorities who feel it would otherwise be difficult for them to get fair representation in government. So that means suppose that if separate electorate would have been provided to any community, then what will happen? That means suppose a constituency is reserved for the Dalit. Suppose a constituency is reserved for the Dalits. What does it mean? It means from that constituency only a Dalit candidate will contest election. And if separate electorate is there, that means in the election only Dalit candidate will contest the election, and also in the voting only Dalit will vote for that particular candidate. तो मीन सेपरेट इलेक्टोरेट, तो दो तरह के इलेक्टोरेट होते हैं, एक जनरल इलेक्टोरेट और एक सेपरेट इलेक्टोरेट. तो अभी जैसे इलेक्शन होता है जनरल इलेक्टोरेट से होता है, इलेक्शन में कोई भी कास्ट, कोई भी क्रीड, कोई भी सब कोई वोट दे सकते हैं. लेकिन सेपरेट इलेक्टोरेट मीन्स व्हाट कि वोटिंग विल बी गिवन बाय ओनली दैट कम्युनिटी फॉर whom separate electorate will be made. तो Bhimrao Ambedkar demand was for separate electorate and reserve constituency. That means whatever election will occur of the provincial legislative council as well as central legislative council, in those elections the constituencies where their percentage or population is more, that constituency should be declared as reserve constituency, and there should be separate electorate also. That means in the election also voting will be given by that particular community. And whatever activities was being done by Mahatma Gandhi to uplift the condition of suppressed or depressed class people or untouchables, it did not pacify the Dalit leaders. They argue that such kind of social activities will not be able to uplift their condition, and there is only one solution. If we really would like to uplift their condition, it could uplift only by their political participation. And Bhimrao Ambedkar also was well convinced. Ambedkar also was convinced that unless and until Dalits or depressed people will get political participation, their condition could not be uplifted. And that's why the demand was there of separate electorate and reserved constituencies. When Ramsay MacDonald was agreed to accept the demand of Ambedkar and announce communal award, so Mahatma Gandhi went on hunger strike, a fast until death. That means आमरण अनशन पे महात्मा गांधी यरवदा जेल में आमरण अनशन कर रहे थे. और जैसे जैसे उनके अनशन का दिन बीता जा रहा था, तो अंबेडकर पे पूरे कंट्री का दबाव बढ़ता जा रहा था. Much pressure was there on Ambedkar to negotiate with Gandhi. So actually talk was there with Ambedkar as well as with Gandhi. Ultimately, on 24th September 1932, at Yerwada Central Jail in Pune, Ambedkar and Gandhi get ready to negotiate. This negotiation occurred in Pune, so that's why it is famously known as Pune Pact. So this document was signed by Bhimrao Ambedkar. Pune Pact was signed by Bhimrao Ambedkar on behalf of depressed class and Madan Mohan Malviya on behalf of upper caste. So according to this Pune Pact, Gandhi ji accepted the demand of Ambedkar for reserve constituency. Gandhi ji accepted the demand of Ambedkar of reserve constituency, and Bhimrao Ambedkar become ready to give up their demand of separate electorate. So apart from that, several other provision also was there of this Pune Pact, but you should know about this one, ki what was Pune Pact. So Pune Pact occurred on 24 September 1932 at Yerwada Central Jail in Pune, in which negotiation was done between Gandhi and Ambedkar, and according to this Pune Pact, Gandhiji accepted the demand of Ambedkar of reserve constituency, and Ambedkar gave up his demand of separate electorate for depressed class or Dalits. So after Pune Pact, a negotiation occurred between Gandhi and Ambedkar, but even after this negotiation, the relation between Gandhi and Ambedkar did not improve. So there are several quotations of Bhimrao Ambedkar about Gandhiji that shows that confrontation continues between Gandhi and Ambedkar, and even after independence. So one statement of Ambedkar is here. Let's say if you will read this statement, you could understand about what kind of relation was there between Gandhi and Ambedkar. Even after independence in 1955, Ambedkar had said that he never accept Gandhiji as Mahatma. He never have seen Gandhi as Mahatma. So what Ambedkar used to say, he meet Gandhi as an opponent, and that's why he could see the real picture of Gandhi rather than other who went there as a disciple, as a devotee. So he pre-assumed about the personality of the Gandhi, but I don't. So when Gandhiji used to say untouchable as Harijan, son of God, so even it was not liked by Ambedkar. He used to say you can't consider them equal, you can't consider them as common people. So it is also humiliating for us if a different identity you are giving to untouchables. Why to say them son of God? Why not as a common human being? So confrontation was there over that matter also. So ideological differences was there between Gandhi and Ambedkar, and it was one of the major demerits of civil disobedience movement, because when civil disobedience movement was launched, when civil disobedience movement was started, so untouchables did not participated enthusiastically in civil disobedience movement. So we now could understand that there were a situation of distrust and suspicion among different communities. Also, support of Muslim community were lukewarm when civil disobedience movement was launched. The support of Muslim community also was lukewarm in civil disobedience movement. Now here we see confrontation between Congress as well as depressed class association, Gandhi and Ambedkar. The same way, some of the Muslim political organizations in India were also lukewarm in their response to the civil disobedience movement, because here also confrontation was there, individual confrontation was there between Gandhi and between Nehru and Jinnah. So mainly dominant political institution during that time, you could say Hindu Mahasabha, Muslim League, always in tussle with each other. Actually, you should know that Hindu Mahasabha was one of the very dominating organization initially, and to counter this organization with the support, British initially wanted to establish an organization that could confront Hindu Mahasabha. And that's why there are several such evidences and instances that conclude that special attention was being given to Muslim League by the British, and they tried to uplift the image of this Muslim League. So during that time, the Times of India, that was published by the British officials during that time. So even incident, even triple incident of Muslim League was published in the front page. Actually, it was motive of the Britishers कि if this organization will dominate, so it could counter Hindu Mahasabha, and then religious differences could be exaggerated. So in several decisions of Indian National Congress, the influence of Hindu Mahasabha could be seen. In some of the decisions of the Indian National Congress, the influence of Hindu Mahasabha could be seen. तो ड्यू टू कन्फ्रंटेशन, यहाँ भी देखो कि इंडिविजुअल कन्फ्रंटेशन गांधी और नेहरू और जिन्ना, एज वेल एज मुस्लिम लीग एंड इंडियन नेशनल कांग्रेस, मुस्लिम लीग एंड हिंदू महासभा. तो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन लेवल पे भी कन्फ्रंटेशन था, इंडिविजुअल लेवल पे भी कन्फ्रंटेशन था. तो यहाँ भी confrontation was on the matter of separate electorate reserve constituency that begins in 1906. When in 1906 Muslim League was established, so actually it demanded separate electorate reserve constituencies. So Gandhi ji always was in perplex due to this confrontation between Jinnah and Nehru. So actually in the last stage when we got independence, this confrontation reached to its extreme. So that means Nehru used to say कि जिन्ना को मैं अपने ऑफिस की चपरासी नहीं बनाऊं तो उसको प्रधानमंत्री कहाँ से, और जिन्ना को प्रधानमंत्री बनना था. Sometime Gandhi used to talk with Nehru about how to pacify Jinnah. Actually during that time Nehru was reluctant to accept any demand of Jinnah. So by the way, that confrontation begins in 1906, since after the formation of Muslim League. So from the mid 1920s, the Congress came to be more visibly associated with openly Hindu religious nationalist group like Hindu Mahasabha. So it could be seen in certain decisions of the Congress, its closeness from Hindu Mahasabha. Now the important difference, also the difference was over the question of representation in the future assembly election that were to be elected. Still they were demanding कि नहीं, wherever their population is percentage of population जो उनका है उसके आधार पे उनको representation दिया जाए. So the Congress and the Muslim League made effort to negotiate an alliance. In 1927, it appeared that such a unity could be forged between Muslim League and Indian National Congress. But Jinnah, one of the leader of the Muslim League, was willing to give up the demand for separate electorate if Muslims were assured reserved seats in the Central Assembly and representation in proportion to population in the Muslim dominated province, Bengal and Punjab. So he could give up the demand of separate electorate. So here also Jinnah was ready to give up his demand for separate electorate. The same way in 1932 as Ambedkar Ambedkar give up the demand of separate electorate. But वहाँ तो negotiation पूना पैक्ट के रूप में हो गया. But यहाँ पे negotiation over the question of representation continued, but all hope of resolving the issue at all parties conference in 1928 disappeared when M.R. Jaikar of Hindu Mahasabha, one of the most eminent leader of Hindu Mahasabha during that time, M.R. Jaikar, strongly opposed effort to compromise. So actually after that any chance of compromise between Indian National Congress and Muslim League fade away, and that's why when after 2 years when civil disobedience movement was launched, so support of Muslim community remained lukewarm. So these were the major demerits of civil disobedience movement. The Dalit community and Muslim community were not enthusiastic participants But apart from that, there are certain other demerits also. For example, when civil disobedience movement was launched, तो कांग्रेस ऑलवेज वॉज इन एबेंस की दुविधा में होते थे टू सपोर्ट पीशंस और नॉट, बिकॉज कांग्रेस वॉज क्लोज टू रिच लैंडलॉर्ड्स and peasants were exploited by those rich landlords, and Congress was reluctant to include no-rent campaign of peasants into agenda of Congress. So that's why relation between peasants and Congress remain uncertain. Also, to launch any movement or to carry out the large party, fund is needed, and industrialists after the First World War, Indian industrialists got a space to flourish, and that's why they wanted to pressurize the British to make fairer rule, and for that the traders were supporting Congress. मतलब industrialists were supporting Congress in the civil disobedience movement. But as Congress came closer to industrialists, workers remain aloof. So that means a worker group also. So actually you have read that who were the participant of the movement. So in the first phase, industrialists were supporting civil disobedience movement, but when without fulfilling any of demand of the industrialists, civil disobedience movement was called off by Mahatma Gandhi in the Gandhi-Irwin Pact. After Gandhi-Irwin Pact, तो ठगा ठगा सा महसूस कर रहे थे इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट कि हमने भाई अपना बिजनेस डिस्टर्ब हुआ इतना, जो भी रिवॉल्यूशनरी एक्टिविटीज़ थे तो चलो कुछ फ़ायदे के लिए काम किए थे, बट उनका तो कुछ फ़ायदा हुआ नहीं, उल्टा नुकसान ही हो गया. तो दैट मीन्स व्हेन सिविल डिसऑर्डिनेंस मूवमेंट वाज रीलॉन्च, दे आल्सो रिमेन एलोन. तो इन द फर्स्ट फेज, industrialist, rich landlords, they were supporting, but in the second phase their support also become thin. And that's why gradually civil disobedience movement got its premature death. Due to these inherent defects, civil disobedience movement gradually fade away. So even in the first phase, when Gandhi-Irwin Pact was done and Gandhiji accepted to call off civil disobedience movement, so even during that time, it also was one of the factors why Gandhiji accepted the pact, why Gandhiji accepted to participate in second roundtable conference, because ये movement लंबा चल रहा था, और जैसे जैसे movement लंबा चल रहा था तो फेड अवे धीरे धीरे स्लो डाउन होता जा रहा था. तो दैट मीन्स अपने आप ख़त्म हो जाए तो चलो उससे अच्छा है कुछ नेगोशिएट कर लें. तो that's why due to these inherent defects, civil disobedience movement got its premature death. So that's all for this video. In the next video we will read about sense of collective belonging in India. What were the cultural component that was influential in development of sense of collective belonging. So once again, thanks and have a nice day.